Question number 10, Ms Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Education. Does she stand by her statement regarding the special education system that I want it to be child-centred, simple to access and available promptly, early and without interruption for as long as required? If so, will any of her proposals announced last week reduce existing services or provision?
The Honourable Hipkins.
Mr Speaker, whether it or I, yes, I do. Last week, as part of the open and transparent way we work with the sector, I released papers and gave a briefing to the quarterly National Cross-Sector Forum, updating them on the work underway in this area. Mr Speaker, there is no proposal to cut overall funding to special education. I am simply looking at the $590 million we already spend in the system and make sure the right support is going to the right child at the right time. Every child and young person currently getting an appropriate service will continue to be supported for their assessed needs.
Mr Speaker.
A supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
How many students who currently receive additional support with their learning will have to stop receiving that support or receive a reduced level of support in order to meet the indicative reduction in spending on school-aged students illustrated in Appendix 2 of her Cabinet paper?
The Honourable Hipkins.
Mr Speaker, we're at a sort of midpoint in well, I've said about 6 words so far, so I'm half, into answering the question. And so what we're looking at, based on a year's worth of consultation with the sector, is how do we redesign the service going forward without compromising the service for those who are currently in it. So there will be a long transition.
Mr Speaker.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Does this graph in Appendix 2 of her Cabinet paper indicate an increase in spending on students aged 0 to 6 and a reduction in spending on students aged 7 to 21? If so, why?
The Honourable Hipkins.
Mr Speaker, it reflects modelling on a social investment approach, which is if we intervene early with impact, which parents throughout the year-long consultation said they wanted, we have the prospect of helping kids earlier and not expending more funding at the other end of the system.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Is she suggesting that if the earlier intervention is in place, students will stop being disabled later on in their schooling?
The Honourable Hipkins.
No. It's so ridiculous. No.
Speaker.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
So how does she propose to increase funding on the early years without reducing funding on the school years, with no increase in overall funding? What is this miraculous new budget tool she seems to have accessed?
The Honourable Hipkins.
Intelligent, strategic approach to it is how I've accessed it. So what we're interested in, unlike the opposition who's very keen to throw money at a problem and usually someone else's, we're focused instead on how do we get a better outcome for more kids using the funding we've already got but improving the underlying system, and as a basis for the future on what we might ask for in addition.
Question, Mr Speaker.
I'm going to click this.
Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Does her own Cabinet paper argue, quote, there are more children and young people with acute and complex needs, end quote, and, quote, demand for OARs, which provide support to those with the most complex needs, has been rising consistently, end quote? If so, why is she proposing no overall increase in funding?
The Honourable Hipkins.
Mr Speaker, the member's making my argument for me. We are interested in, have we got the right system in place under it? And parents tell us we have not. It's too complicated. There are too many hurdles. It's difficult to access. We need to improve that. And by doing that and earlier intervention, we think that we can improve the service for those young people.
Supplementary question, Tracy Martin.
To the Minister, can she confirm that if she, as Minister, closes Salisbury School, that this will be a reduction of provision for residential high-needs, single-sex special education, specifically for girls, to zero?
The Honourable Hikeparata.
Mr Speaker, I'm in the middle of a consultation process and it would be inappropriate to preempt the outcome of that. In other words, no decision has yet been made.
Order. Point of order. Tracy Martin.
Mr Speaker, my question was, can she confirm that if she closes? I did not ask her to decide.
No, the question was definitely addressed by the Minister. Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Why does she propose measuring the effectiveness of educational support provided to a child with an intellectual disability by the attainment of national standards in NCEA?
The Honourable Hikeparata.
Mr Speaker, I think the paper speaks of the various options available in our system to measure impact, and that is appropriate because we want to know that we can make progress for every child, no matter their disability or disorder.
Supplementary question, Tracy Martin.
How are gifted and talented students to be catered for in her special education proposal, considering her government disbanded the advisory group and removed the funding specifically tagged for these students in 2009?
The Honourable Hikeparata.
Mr Speaker, we're in the process of developing the policy off the proposals we've made, and they are driven completely on the basis of how do we improve provision for every child, no matter their learning challenge or opportunity.
Order. Supplementary question, Chris Hipkins.
Does she seriously believe that the effectiveness of the educational support provided to students with an intellectual disability can be assessed using the same measures applied to students who don't have an intellectual disability? If so, why?
The Honourable Hikeparata.
More seriously, I can tell the member that the Special Education Association tells me that they want to be able to measure progress and that these tools offer that opportunity in looking at progress as well as outcome.
Question number 11,